Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are. It's Wade T. Lightheart from Bioptimizers, and we've got a great webinar for you today, especially for the ladies. Now, many of the ladies out there are, frankly, go through a monthly misery. And today we're going to show you how to escape that with a breakthrough that liberates you from PMS torture. So if you are someone that suffers from PMS, I'm going to encourage you to pay attention to this webinar. And if you know someone or you're suffering from someone with PMS, they definitely want to get this too. In fact, you might want to stay to the end. We'll probably do a little product offering for you that you can sample some of the breakthroughs that we're going to talk about. But before we get started, I would like to introduce a little bit more about what's happening today. All right, first little housekeeping. Turn off all the distractions, cell phones, Skype, Facebook. Unmute your computer, audio speakers, and headphones, and type your questions into the question panel. What we will do is we'll have a health and happiness concierge who's on the line with us today. They will answer your questions, and they'll queue them up for a Q&A at the end. And you want to stay tuned for that because we have a very special offer at that, but only for those who stay to the end. And of course, if you need any additional help, please contact our health and happiness concierge at support@bioptimizers.com. In this webinar, we will cover how to be unbothered by your monthly cycle and be freed from the monthly turmoil that comes with your cycle. How PMS can engulf a woman's life 1 week every month with disruptive symptoms that are challenging and traumatic to endure. The science behind PMS. Why does it happen? What's going on inside your body? The ancient secret for battling PMS and the powerhouse Chinese herbs that make up a brand new formula, which I think people are going to get very, very excited about it. Plus, we're going to cover a bunch more things. My guests today are very bright and have a lot to share. Of course, some of you might be wondering, well, who is Bioptimizers? We've been helping people optimize digestion and health since 2004, turning people from sick to superhuman. Served over, actually, I think that's over 500,000 clients now. But anyways, and then we create a simple philosophy. It's either in first in class or it's best in class, because that's the Bioptimizers way. Of course, that's me in a suit, which I'm not normally in, but guess what? They put me in one day, took a picture. I coached 15,000 clients worldwide, read a bunch of books, did some bodybuilding shows, had a great time, and living my best life as a natural guy in my 50s. So not on TRT, not on hormone balancing. And the reason I've been able to do that is largely in part because of the experts and guests that we acquire to help us create formulas. And one of those today is Dr. Drew. Dr. Drew has mastered the art of Chinese herbal formulation. In fact, I call him Master Pearson, honing his skill over 15 years to create world-class level formulas that have garnered widespread acclaim. He's made some products for us in the past, and he put his expertise to this one. He's involved in integrative medicine, neuroscience, and neurotherapy. He holds a doctorate in acupuncture and oriental medicine and is a licensed and board-certified acupuncturist and a neurotherapist. Dr. Drew runs a successful integrative medicine practice in San Diego, focusing on both physical and mental optimization for his patients. Driven by a passion for helping people become their best selves, Dr. Drew aims to elevate consciousness and unlock our inner potential for mastery. I can attest to his skill levels, which have dramatically impacted myself, my business partner, Matt, and many of our friends and colleagues. Of course, he can empathize with the struggles of women in his life because he was motivated to address PMS issues and create positive change. If you think guys aren't motivated by this, let me tell you, we are. Sometimes I think we suffer almost as much as our ladies in our lives. And of course, backed by popular demand, one of our insiders, Katrine Walensky, she is a functional nutritional consultant. She's a CEO of Cellular Regeneration Consulting. She's the co-founder of the Institute of Advanced Natural Health Science, and she helps individuals achieve their health goals through a combination of state-of-the-art technology, nutrition, and holistic healing. She has authored several books and regularly lectures on the topics of detox, radiation protection, enzyme therapy, nutrigenomics, fasting, women's biohacking, and nervous system regulation. She's an author, health researcher, nutritionist, wellness coach, and heavy metals detoxification specialist with training in nutrigenomics, peptides, bioregulators, ozone therapy, stem cell therapy, and NAD+. I'm actually going to her facility in about 10 days to get another, as we call it, upgrade on the physiology, and she's truly remarkable at her craft. So let's get into today's topic. I'm going to turn it over to Katrine specifically because I think it's important that we have a woman talking about women's things, and she has women from all around the world. Some of the, who's who within the health field who haven't figured themselves out are coming to her to get fixed. Katrine, can you talk about this important subject, how and why maybe so many people are suffering from menstrual problems?
I mean, it's a good question, Wade, and thank you for a wonderful introduction. As long as I remember being a cycling female, I've never had an answer for my personal understanding of a cycle until I got much older. This is something that's not being taught in school. This is something that no even doctor teaches us how to take care of ourselves so we have nice, simple cycles and anything leading up to it. Unfortunately, majority of cycling females are experiencing all sorts of symptoms leading up to their cycle, such as bloating, fatigue, irritability, just complete loss of energy, not being able to control our moods and not being able to be emotionally stable for our partners and people in our lives. And of course, just debilitating pain. This happens a lot. I know a lot of women that just can't get out of the bed. They have to cancel work, life engagements, all sorts of things just to gather their strengths to just stay alive and not scream at everybody. Yes, it's really can be that intense, including not just the previous to the cycle week, but the cycle week itself can be a completely horrifying experience for many women. And unfortunately, it's more a normal thing than not nowadays. One of the reasons we have this is so many toxins in our lives that we can't control, so many inflammatory drivers, so many stressors that basically strips us away from energy, in not really good nutrition, not enough rest, overdoing it in work and life, and just simply not having the nutrients to support our hormones, not knowing when and how to address these needs to support our cycle and ride what I call the wave of our cycle. So every woman is cycling anywhere between 21 to 35 days, and every woman has a different woman in her each week of that cycle. With each week of the cycle, from day 1 to day 28 to 35, you have rise and fall of hormones, and they will literally run your life from your cognition to your ability to socialize to how you work out to how you feel. And the more you know about this and the more you're able to regulate, the stronger, the healthier you're going to be, and the less invasive those cycles are going to be for you prior to the week of the cycle and the cycle itself. So it's really important to get to know your hormones, to get to know how you can manage your lifestyle, how you can manage your nutrition, and how to get support in the form of supplements and herbal preparations like with the one we're going to be talking about today to help you ride that wave and to create a more natural, what used to be for us natural aspects of our cycles. This is probably not something that happened 100 years ago. We actually don't know, but what we know is, even if we're talking to our mothers and grandmothers, this was not as normal 50, 60 years ago. And some of it has to do with, industrialization, toxin loads, stress, even birth control, and some of the other aspects. But we need to learn how to regulate ourselves and how to help ourselves so we can have better, healthier relationship with our bodies. So it's not hormones. It's you. It's not hormones. Yes, it is. It is like that. This very important to understand, because hormones are not just there to trigger your ovulation and trigger your baby making and your years, but they also neurotransmitters. Literally, the hormones will affect how your brain works and how you're able to handle emotions, how you're able to handle workload, how you're able to access even your intuition. Some of you that are experiencing PMS, it's not your fault. It literally is what's happening inside of your body, and what's happened the cycle before will actually direct how the next cycle is going to happen for you. So if we don't learn how to take care of the last week of our cycle, we are probably going to preset ourselves for weeks in the next cycle to be negative and have experienced a lot of pain and dysregulation. The estrogen and progesterone in our bodies, they're kind of like yin and yang, and they are playing. As the estrogen rising, we have more ability to be playful and social. That's where your ovulation starts. And as the progesterone comes in, we go more internal and we go more intuitive. However, we have so much dysregulation in that normal cycle, in a normal wave, that that intuitive part that should be for us happening in the last part of the cycle becomes something stressful, becomes something painful, just because it's not properly supported. The hormones that are controlling you, also controlling your ability to digest. They're also controlling your ability to work out, to sleep, to regulate your mood. They also controlling your ability to handle water retention and your ability to handle any stressors in life. It can affect your skin. It can affect your body shape. It can affect your even how you see yourself. Sometimes you're not even that much different looking in the mirror, but you just feel heavier, you just feel more tired, you feel more strained. So it will have an outlook onto your moods and how you're able to handle any type of emotional and other life stressors.
So
So
maybe you
yeah.
want to talk about some of the Chinese elements that are involved. This is kind of a novel concept here in the West. Can we get into what these elements are? Maybe we'll get Dr. Drew to step in and talk about any of this stuff, maybe, or how Chinese medicine influenced you, and then maybe Dr. Drew can talk about this a little bit.
Absolutely, and it's very interesting. I brought it up earlier in our conversation that we're never been taught enough about our bodies as women. Nobody pulled us aside when we were 16, 17, 18 and told us that we are four different women in different part of our months. So my first aha moment was when I was in my 20s and I was in a workshop by Dr. Saida Desalet, who you actually introduced me to. And she's an incredible person that works with the Taoist and Taoist and Chinese medicine principles. And she brought up this yin yang picture. Everybody's seen this, the black and white. And she talked about how you use different types of energy practices like meditation and some of the workout practices to regulate your cycle. And it was a big aha moment for me because I saw the progesterone and the estrogen rising, and I was able to put those two together and understand that, hey, this is not just applying to meditation or these special practices, physiological practices. It also applies to all sorts of aspects of life. And Chinese medicine, known about this for such a long time, and they've had so many tools and very minute, detailed ways to handle these rises and falls in the female cycle. And that was so fascinating to me. And I've used Chinese medicine for myself, for my own physiology, to help myself work through my hormonal imbalances. And having somebody like Dr. Drew who understands the Chinese herbs and and other ways to help women is such a blessing, because this is such a complicated system, but it's also one of the oldest systems in the world. And they have so many answers that we are just stepping into. Dr. Drew, can you tell us more about the water element, the wood element, the yin and yang, and how they apply to menstruation?
Yeah, hello. Um, so the first part, though, let's break this down into like a typical 28 day. Now, it may vary, some people have it 22, 24 days. Some people as long as 35 or 38, depending on what's going on. The first phase is what we call a yin phase. And this is the follicular phase. And it pertains to the yin. And it's marked by the onset of menstruation. It's a sharp drop in estrogen and progesterone, right? And the yang has reached its pinnacle at that point and dropped. And this is where the yin comes in. And with this, the pituitary gland stimulates the what we call a follicular stimulating hormone, or FSH, and the luteinizing hormone, or LH. And this really draws and relies on our Jing. It's our essence of who we are. And if we don't have this built up, if we don't have enough yin, and we don't have enough Jing, or essence, then you're going to have dysregulation. So everything from what we call qi stagnation, or energy stagnation, or blood stagnation, or blood deficiency. And these can affect the aspects that are inherently more feminine, the yin aspects. And if these are not set up correctly, you don't shed properly, the blood doesn't move properly, there's stagnation, there's bloating. And these things are not nourished appropriately. The increasing estrogen levels reflects the growth of yin, and if that's not correct, then your estrogen levels are off. And like Katrine said, there's so many factors behind this today. Whether it's toxins, whether it's stress, whether it's the nutrients you're intaking or not actually absorbing, really affects everything. And when the yin rises sufficiently, it's going to trigger that transformation into yang at kind of like the 14 days or the midpoint. And this transition is greatly reflected in the rising progesterone, yang levels, and surge in the luteinizing hormone. And under the influence of this LH, once it's released, the egg secretes progesterone and maintains the uterine lining until either menstruation or conception occurs. If that's not smooth, then that's what you want to regulate. And we can go into different mechanisms of that soon too.
That's awesome. So what we're here to do is to help you take control of your cycle with these ancient secrets that have been known in Chinese medicine, yet, so many people in today's world suffer from them. And so we're trying to bridge the gap between what we've known in other cultures to what women are suffering from today, and combining the ideas of traditional Chinese medicine, which essentially we're looking at you, the whole person, including mental, physical, and spiritual parts. And that's why you'll see what many people see as kind of these esoteric ideologies, but they have real, physiological effects, or things that intuitively you can experience this. And that's one of the beauties of Eastern philosophy. I think it looks at people not just as, chemistry units and anatomy working synchronized. In Chinese medicine, they look at the whole person. And of course, much of the literature has been male dominated in the West around biology and medicine. And that wasn't necessarily the case. And when you're looking at, female cycles, it's only been relatively recently, like Katrine was saying, that women were even understanding that there's kind of these 4 different phases on how they feel. A lot of the biohacking people out there are men, are talking about men's needs. And I saw this when I was coaching competitors, female fitness competitors, who oftentimes would lose their cycle or have challenges with it coming back. And premenopausal women was another area that became very interesting. And I started to realize, well, I needed to upgrade my awareness on a lot of these levels. And of course, that's what we're here for. So the idea here in Chinese medicine is to correct imbalances or stagnation. And that reinforces the healthy qi, the blood, and the energy patterns. And what that does is that allows you an overall support at the key times and positions of your cycle, and that increases vitality, helps you with the healthy sex drive, and of course, to improve all aspects of your health. And of course, we have a breakthrough in Chinese herbal medicine. I've been fascinated with Chinese herbs ever since I had a skin condition a long time ago, and I went down to the Chinese market to try and get rid of it. No one could get rid of it on a medical side in the Western world. I went down to a Chinese market under an acupuncture guidance and had to cook up this stinky pot of herbs and drink this stuff that was the worst stuff I ever drank. And you know what? Combined with acupuncture, it fixed my skin condition, which was very serious at the time. And I became a believer and got on a pattern of looking at Chinese herbs as a really great way to solve problems of the modern world. So we've created Cycle Care, which addresses the issues that we just demonstrated here in this webinar. It contains a special blend of 15 incredible Chinese herbs, and they're all designed to help take care of yourself before and during your monthly cycle. So Cycle Care is specifically designed to provide you a complete menstrual cycle support. It contains a precise blend of Chinese herbs and as well as some nutrients to alleviate common issues. So, for example, if you suffer from mood swings, food cravings, bloating, fatigue, all of those are related to an imbalance inside your body that Chinese herbs are excellent at addressing. So Cycle Care, has combined these herbs under the guidance of Dr. Drew to be able to so they can work synergistically. Just throwing a bunch of elements in a bottle is not going to get it done. Doing some half-baked ideas or a mishmash of maybes isn't going to do it. But if you get it right, you can alleviate the symptoms like fatigue, emotional sensitivity, bloating, and suboptimal sleep during PMS. It will also help you balance inflammation. And you know how it is. Inflammation is the silent killer. We don't know, we can't really feel it, but it's rusting us from the inside out. And of course, that's what creates a lot of the degenerative conditions over time that we call aging. And a big one here is appetite and food cravings. You know how you're on your program and everything's going great, and then a certain time of month comes and it's 2:00 in the morning and you're into the Ben and Jerry's at 2 a.m., and you can't seem to stop. That's usually a sign. It's not you're a bad person, it's that there's something imbalanced. And so we've got a solution for that. Plus, mood, focus. These are elements that are also connected to how well balanced you are during your cycle. And of course, a lot of ladies suffer from an irregular cadence in their menstrual cycle, and we're addressing that here. Dr. Drew, I know we've got look at this powerhouse. It's like going to a complete Chinese market every time you get some of the Cycle Care. Can you highlight maybe some of the key Chinese herbs here that you've put together in this formula that can alleviate the symptoms that many women are suffering from?
Yes, absolutely. So one of the things you brought up was inflammation, and that's such a rampant aspect going on in our system right now. One of the main herbs that we use for that is called Mudan or it's Mutan cortex. And its ability is cooling the blood. It promotes this blood circulation. And a lot of the PMS is what we see as a result of stagnant blood flow. And you're going to lead into symptoms such as pain, bloating, mood swings. And by promoting this blood circulation and reducing blood stagnation, it's going to alleviate those symptoms. Now, Mudan is anti-inflammatory, anti-spasmodic also, and it reduces inflammation and muscle tension. It's one of those exquisite herbs for that piece. a few of the herbs in here, like danshen and chuangjong and honghua, these all promote blood flow or a healthy flow of blood through the system without the stagnation. And also helps build up blood, because about what we're finding is about at least 12% of women are anemic, and they didn't even know it. And this helps bring that back into balance. One of my favorite herbs is Huan Pi. It's more of a happy herb. It's commonly used for treating emotional imbalances, anxiety, irritability, depression. Things that it will bring about a calming effect on your mind and spirit. So this imbalance in the liver can result in the irritability and the breast tenderness and the abdominal bloating. Huan Pi helps regulate that liver and relieves symptoms of that flow. Where do we want to go next with this is Baizu is one of those herbs that really has a strengthening effect on the digestive system, the spleen, in Chinese medicine as we look. It invigorates the qi and the body's vital energy, because a lot of times women will have these gastrointestinal issues during this time. And Baizu is one of those herbs that really helps regulate that interplay between the liver and the spleen. Because if the liver, this is Chinese medicine talk, the energy impacts the spleen, and it'll dysregulate how we feel, how we digest, and if we're bloating. And so that's another herb that has a great effect on it, anti-inflammatory, and also immune modulating effects too. Dongui is one of the main herbs in here. If I could pick just one, I could pick all of them, but Dongui is one of those ones that we call more of a female ginseng. And it promotes blood circulation and nourishes the blood. And it's used in combination with the other ones like danshen, honghua, and chuangjong to really guide all of these through and work with the system so you don't have these effects.
That's super cool. Just pronunciation of words, Dr. Drew, is that's impressive level of understanding what they do.
And one more here that I'd like to touch on is Yanhu So or Cordidalis. It's one of the, I use this a lot too in many formulas. It relieves pain, cramps, headaches, things like that. Very anti-inflammatory, very anti-spasmodic, blood moving and qi moving. It's a stronger herb that really helps with any pain in our system. And pain comes from the qi not moving, the blood not moving, or stagnation within those. And this really helps both of those. And it's one of the main herbs for pain in this.
So it's so cool. It's amazing, I think, just that the world has provided us these herbs that perform these functions and have receptor sites in our body and elicit these type of effects. And this was known for thousands of years in China, and is now being modernized and incorporated into kind of a Western model. And that's why we created Cycle Care. So Cycle Care does what other PMS supplements simply can't. See, the truth is Dr. Drew was explaining and how Katrine was elucidating, from a female perspective, there's a lot more going on than just biochemistry. There's associated moods and awareness about yourself. and also complications in how you show up as you. And, you know, those 4 different people is essentially in alignment with these elements that are being addressed. And yes, they have a biochemical correlation, but Chinese medicine is much more thorough in understanding the you inside of the biology. And that's how we're addressing this. So it's much different than a lot of the over-the-counter PMS formulas that you may have tried in the past or heard about it. We're going at it in a completely different way. And instead of covering up the symptoms, because essentially most over-the-counter ideas is to just block something. They're stopping or hiding the awareness. And that's not helpful in the long term. Sure, you might get a little bit of alleviation of that, but there's usually consequences. It's kind of like paying your mortgage off with the credit card. Eventually it catch up with you. You're just taking a higher interest to pay a lower interest, and eventually you run out. Psychocare actually resolves the underlying issues causing that frustrating PMS symptoms. And it also addresses each PMS symptom at once, where other formulas are only targeting, maybe 1 or 2 of the symptoms that you might experience. And today we've got a very special offer. Normally it's $55 a bottle, but you can try 1 bottle for $43 and get it shipped every 2 months. Or you can go for a year supply at $32, which is really great. That's an awesome deal. And you can get it for $35 if you want a 6-month supply. So 2 months, $43. This is extremely affordable. What a deal. Imagine that you can eliminate your PMS symptoms simply for, a little bit over $20 a month. I mean, that's amazing. And you can, if you go in with a year supply, you can do that. And here's a great news. So if you go to bioptimizers.com/cyclecare, they've posted that in the Q&A and inside of the chat. If you want to just click on that and get some of these introductory discounts, probably you'll never see it this low ever. You can load up and get a year supply or 6-month supply because without worry. And the reason why that is because we have an amazing money back guarantee, 365 days. You just take the balls that you didn't, let's say you did it for a couple months. And if you didn't get the benefits, well, guess what? We give your money back, but we're confident you were. So here's how to use it. Here's how to conquer PMS. If you have a regular cycle, then it's best to take Cyclecare, 3 or 4 days premenstrual, and then every day during your period, and then 3 to 4 days postmenstrual. So the amount of Cyclecare a person should take is 1 capsule 3 times a day. Super easy, super effective, super simple. If taken correctly, all PMS symptoms should reduce dramatically after 3 months. And again, that's the difference between what we're doing here than many of the things. Instead of blocking, what we're doing is we're addressing each aspect of the cycle, each element, each area of your chemistry and the ebb and flow of the hormones throughout that. And that's what makes this so unique. So if you have a cycle that's difficult to manage and to predict, take Cyclecare when you start feeling the symptoms of your cycle, and then for 3 or 4 days after it ends. And this will help regulate you. Again, probably want to go 3 months to get the full potency and benefit. This builds up over time. And as you re-regulate, of course, Natha was one of the test. She's a PhD that worked with us on the Ultimate Nutrition Bible. And she did all the literature research and investigations to validate all the studies. And she also suffered from a variety of PMS conditions. She travels a lot. And of course, that accelerates things. She works really hard. And so what was interesting from what Natha noticed when she started taking this, she said, you know what? It took away my PMS fatigue, my brain fog, my irritability, and my cramps. She's been able to continue and maintain both her cognitive and physical performance during her luteal phase. So before Cyclecare, she says, I'd need to rest in the afternoon and reduce the weights I lift in the gym closer to my period. She also says, I've been also in a generally good mood throughout the luteal phase, which wasn't the case before. Chinese medicine has much more to offer for hormone balancing than conventional medicine, and I believe not suffering through your luteal phase should be a birthright. Now, I've had the good fortune of working with NAFTA directly for, a few years. And the level of statement she's making here as someone who has a PhD and evaluates scientific literature, and to take on that kind of statement is truly incredible, because we used her to meticulously take apart any study that we have. And I love that. So here's our guarantee. Look, we make premium products. And the reason that we do that is because there's nothing more expensive than a product that doesn't work. Matt and I got into the supplement business over 20 years ago. We made a commitment that we would never, ever, ever cut one corner. In fact, we continually evolve and develop products. We have a multi-million-dollar lab in Bosnia. We have over 20 PhDs and master students literally running nonstop experiments. And what does that give us benefit for? Number one, we can tell if something gets absorbed into the body. The other thing is we can go way beyond lab assays. Most supplement companies white label products that they don't know, if it works, if it doesn't work. They can't tell product quality to efficacy. We have a lab that we can sort through all of those variations that other supplement companies can't. And by doing that, each one of our ingredients meets the highest standards of quality and effectiveness. So it's more than just, do you have it in it, is that bioavailable and usable by the system? Well, we have the test that we can prove it. And that allows us to make superior formulas and use superior ingredients, because we can tell the difference between what's not revealed in a lab assay. So we've also created an amazing offer that you've got a whole year to decide if our products take a fair shot. So imagine that. You can get a whole year's supply on the deal that we offer today. And if it doesn't work for you, well, we'll give your money back. But you're going to know after a couple of months. 2-3 months would be sufficient. We're willing to invest in you. We understand that this is a huge issue for so many women around the world, and we want to make a difference. We believe in taking people from sick to superhuman. In fact, we wrote a book about it, and our whole passion and our purpose is to have people perform at their best level so that they can contribute to their families, to their careers, to their life, to reach their goals and dreams in a healthy, happy, fit body. So, that's why we give our 365-day guarantee. If for whatever reason you don't like it, we want you to redeploy your hard-earned money. We understand your money is valuable, your time is valuable, and that's why we appreciate you joining us today. And that's why we make a no-risk offer. You put an experiment, consider it running an experiment. You put a deposit on the experiment by buying a few bottles of our products. You try it out. If it works for you, you send us a testimonial. If it doesn't work for you, we say, no problem. We'll send you a shipping label, send it back to us, and you get your money back. It's just really that simple. We have a wonderful, happy concierge staff. We are happiness concierge, we like to call them, and they answer our emails, our text messages, our phone calls. It's a Six Sigma system. They're wonderful people, and they have all of the answers. And if they can't get them, they reach out to one of us directly, who's ever in charge of that department, like we're ever in charge of that product, and we get it answered specifically. So all your questions are answered, and we'll go through that in just a few moments. So we're here to serve you. It's not robots. It's not machines. It's not white labels. It's a company that's run in a completely different way than anything you ever. So what do you have your options? Okay, you know what? You can still, if you're here, you're probably interested in what's going on. So you got an option. You know what? Say, I don't know. That's not going to work. I'll just deal with my mood swings, my food cravings, my bloating, fatigue, take some medicine, fight with Ben and Jerry's, all that sort of stuff. Or you can say, you know what, I'm going to give it a shot. I really want to try this unique Chinese medicine approach. It's a simple product, 3 times a day. I don't have to cook up stinky herbs. I don't have to go down to the Chinese market. Maybe there's not one in your town, but I can leverage a world-class Chinese expert and a woman who understands the whole female cycle and say, hey, let's give it a shot and find out what happens. We're confident that you're going to use this product to promote hormone regulation, alleviate problems within your cycle, reduce unpleasurable sensations, and optimize until you can maintain an optimal menstrual rhythm. So just go to bioptimizers.com/cyclecare. It's really time for you to experience a superhuman version of yourself. We're all here because of women. You can't be here without women. Women are the only people that can have kids. We love that. We want to support that. I love my mom. I love all my lady friends, and I know so many of them suffering. So I'm really delighted and excited to have these experts help us address that. So if you want to get the products, we'll just go over here. That's the deal. You just go to bioptimizers.com/cyclecare. Click on it. It's in the questions and answers, and I'll turn it over to our questions and answers. I think Jessica Flores has said, how long does one bottle last? One bottle lasts 2 months, if I believe correctly. So for example, if you bought the 3 bottles, that would give you a 6-month supply, and you get it for $35 a bottle. Basically, you're solving your PMS issues, and for just over $100, which is a good deal. And then, of course, we have the 1-year deal where you'd get it for $32 a bottle, which is just an absolute stellar deal. Do we have any other questions on the Q&A, just in case? Is our Happy Health Concierge is on here? Do we have any more questions in the chat? No? Okay. Super simple. I want to thank everybody for joining you today. I really appreciate you taking the time, and I hope that you will give a shot to this. Oh, we've got a little question from Katrine. Yes, Katrine, what's up?
Oh, I wasn't actually saying the question. It's I was just commenting to Jessica. Sometimes we did see there was a couple of people that were taking cycle care that you sometimes need a little less. You might be one of those people that are sensitive, so one bottle can actually last you a little longer. You will know that as a woman because you will feel a difference. So I will say it's a really good deal. And you will see that for yourself, you might need a little bit less sometimes, or you will be right at the 2 capsules, a day. So there's a slight variation from women to women. No women is the same, right? So you will know by your symptomology and if you can cut down sometimes on how many pills you take in a day.
What would they notice, Katrine?
So a couple of people that we used the product with, actually, I worked with Nata while she was using the product. For example, when she took a little too many, she was feeling hotter at night, so we cut it back. And I think she was actually taking more than recommended dose. She was so excited.
Sounds like Martha.
Yeah, it does happen sometimes. So we actually cut it back down, and she was like, "Oh my God, I feel so much better." And I've had that with another couple of women too, when they were younger and they did have a lot of cycle dysregulations, and they generally had really painful cycles. And 2 capsules were too much for them, and we cut that down to 1. There was the same kind of deal. They felt sweaty and hot during the cycle itself, not prior to it. They felt great prior, but during the menstruation they felt a little hotter. So we cut it down or cut it off completely for the first 3 days, and that really helped. So if you have questions like that, you can always reach to us, and we'll help you work through that. But there's just the idea is if you feel great, but all of a sudden, like during the cycle, you feel like a little hotter or a little a little sweaty, you just cut down or just skip it for a couple of days and then go back on.
Got it. Katrine or Dr. Drew, you can take that. Is there any contraindications that cycle care would cause? I know a lot of people are using, say, Stress Guardian or maybe some of the other products. Is there anything that it would, interfere with that you should discontinue when you're taking the capsules?
I will leave that to Dr. Drew because that, Chinese medicine is his thing.
Well, if I could say anything about this formula, the problem with formula is that we're working with the root. And as Katrina is saying, is as that root gets worked through, you'll need less and less.
Mm-hmm.
And the same with any supplements you're taking. You take as much as you need, not how much the necessarily just, okay, I need to do 3 a day. They said 3 a day and you're not feeling as well. And you may only need 1 or 2. Now, something like the magnesium or the Stress Guardian, that's not really going to interfere with this. But if you really want to sanction, hey, how am I using this? How does it make me feel? I would go directly on just cycle care and hold off on any other herbs you're taking unless reflected by your healthcare practitioner, of course, and really get into the feeling of what it is so you can listen to yourself. And the whole thing about this is learning who you are, where your cycles are. Is this energy or chi stagnant, or is it flowing again? Is the blood stagnant, or is it flowing again? Is there a deficiency going on? Is there an excess going on? So all these things that if you can, a lot of people do cycle journals, and what they do is like, oh, I took this here, and this has affected me like this. This is something that you'll want to do typically in the first few months, so you can monitor how you're doing, how you're feeling.
That makes total sense. Just a quick question. Jessica Flores has asked, kind of address the first part of it, 1, 2, 3 to start off. And the other thing is, and the other supplements, but what about if someone is on testosterone, troches, and DHEA? Would that impact this program?
It can impact it, absolutely. As you take these herbs, if your system is not caught up anymore in the stagnation, you may be producing more testosterone yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll have to monitor any pharmaceutical you're putting in. The thing about Chinese herbs is that as it regulates the system, you'll need less and less medications out there. And we see that in the narrow therapeutic window. Western medicine is very strong, very direct, and goes really hard against certain things. So you have to honor it and know what it does and how strong it is. So you'll want to monitor, like, oh, okay, this is getting better, and then you'll know how that Western medicine is affecting you also.
And Jessica, I would highly recommend to monitor this with a Dutch test, which is your urine test that's looking at how you're actually using metabolites of testosterone and DHEA. And usually you would want to give it a couple of cycles, 2 to 3 cycles, to see a difference when you start on the Chinese medicine herb and you on testosterone. It also depends on your age, honestly. If you're coming closer to if you're menopausal or like postmenopausal, there's you might still find there's a lot of value in your testosterone and DHA. If you're perimenopausal, that's where it probably would be useful to monitor a little bit closer, because you might find that all of a sudden you're doing a little bit better and you might need less. But recommendations usually after a new product like this is to retest with Dutch test, not just with blood hormones, anywhere between 2 months to 3 months. We usually do about 2 to 3 months, because you kind of have one ovary dropping an egg and then the other if you're still cycling, obviously. And honestly, even postmenopausal women, we're talking here about PMS. I've had a few postmenopausal women use this formula and they felt better too. And I would love Dr. Drew to say why. But we've seen that, we've seen that women actually felt a little bit better, like in general, they used a little bit of this formula. But obviously this is designed for cycling women. If you're in perimenopause, you just want to keep an eye on it and retest in about 2 to 3 cycles after you integrated it, basically.
Yeah, that's very helpful. Okay, with that, I guess that will wrap up our seminar today. Of course, if you were a little shy and didn't want to ask a question, you can reach out to us at support@bioptimizers.com, and we'll be more than happy to answer your questions and direct them to the appropriate expert. I want to thank our guests for joining us today, our guest experts, Katrine and Dr. Drew. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time to come in here and educate our guests. And of course, for all of us listening around the world, thank you so much for joining us today. We'll see you on our social media, on a webinar, or at one of the events around the world that we attend. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Wei T. Lightheart from the entire Bioptimizer family. we wish you the healthiest and happiest day and the best cycle ever. See you later.